faithful guide of our lives, as we gather in the wonder and mystery of these moments, we hold up to you the mixed feelings of letting go alongside the joy of new birthings. Let us begin to trust the new life taking shape in our midst, even as we celebrate today the completion of past efforts and of interconnected lives. Be by our side as we anticipate transition, and hold us gently in your loving arms as the future begins to unfold. For blessed are you, our God, who has granted us life and brought us to this season. Amen. Please be seated.
To the members of the class of 2006, heartiest congratulations, best wishes, and blessings. On a personal note, I received my Juniata degree on this very platform 49 years ago. Life is a quick journey. Make the most of each day. Today I saw a quote that's very appropriate. Nothing is worth more than this day. A simple reminder that each day is a gift to be treasured. And this is certainly a day to be treasured. To parents, families, and friends, I extend a warm welcome to our beautiful Juniata College campus. Members of the platform party, trustees, alumni, faculty, and staff, I greet and declare the formal opening of Juniata's 128th commencement ceremonies. And now turn the program over to our president, Dr. Kepton.
This summer, Mr. Dibble will complete his 5-year term as chair of the Board of Trustees at Juniata. To honor his outstanding service, the board presented to him the college's highest recognition for service, the John C. Baker Award, at its meeting on April 22nd of this year. Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Dibble. I want to especially welcome parents, grandparents, extended family, and friends of the class of 2006, the largest class ever to graduate from Juniata. Thank you for the many contributions you've made to make this very special day possible. To the class of 2006, this is a day for us to celebrate your success. But before you graduate, I have one final quiz for you. Not to worry, you know the answers. How many of you studied or traveled abroad while at Juniata? If you put your hands up, please. About 40% of you did that. How many of you student taught or did at least one internship while at Juniata? Well over 80% of you did that. How many of you graduated in 4 years or less? An amazing 95% of you did that. Congratulations. This spring, there'll be 1.3 million students graduating from 2,600 colleges and universities across the United States. A few of those classes will have a better percentage than you in one or perhaps even two of those categories. But as far as we know, no class has a better percentage in all three than you do. Congratulations. Not only that, but you've amassed a number of national awards and championships to your credit. Well done, and thank you, class of 2006. To faculty, staff, and trustees, thank you for your tireless investment in the class of 2006. This is a tribute to you as well. It's now my pleasure to introduce the president of the class of 2006, Angela H. Davidson. Angela is from Littlestown, Pennsylvania, which she affectionately describes as a rural town with one stoplight. Little did she know she was coming to Huntington. When Angela applied to Juniata, her high school teacher described her as one of the most conscientious and dedicated students I've ever seen in 34 years of teaching. And that was just the beginning. Over the next 4 years, Angela distinguished herself both as an exceptional student and an extraordinary student leader. She is graduating with a program of emphasis in psychology, with a secondary emphasis in criminal justice. She was selected as a member of the Juniata Honor Society, as a member and president of Alpha Phi Sigma, the Criminal Justice Honor Society, and as a member and president of Psi Chi, the Psychology Honor Society. She has been a cheerleader, served as an intern in the Institutional Research Office and the Wellness Center. She has been a writing seminar lab assistant. She participated in the 2005 Student Art Exhibition, and in her spare time, she has worked as a campus tour guide and alumni phone-a-thon caller. At her recent awards convocation, she received the Drew Psychology Award, the Day Social Sciences Prize, and the Langdon Prize. Through it all, Angela believes that serving as class president has been the most exciting. The class has raised thousands of dollars in fundraisers. They've donated time and money to help the victims of Hurricane Katrina. And they've volunteered in many capacities in the Huntington community. Angela noted that service and commitment that I've seen in our class makes me truly thankful to be a part of an involved group of seniors. Next fall, Angela will begin a doctorate program in clinical psychology at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. Quite a change from that rural town with one stoplight. Please join me in welcoming the president of the class of 2006, Angela Davidson.
First, on behalf of the class of 2006, I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Philip Horn, who I'm very honored to share the stage with. I'd also like to welcome the faculty, staff, students, friends, and family that are here today to share this exciting occasion with my classmates and I. Lastly, the class of 2006. You deserve the warmest welcome of all. All the people that surround you have helped you get to this point, but their help would have been irrelevant if you hadn't made the choice to be here. I want to congratulate you on making it this far, and also thank you for making these the best 4 years of my life. Well, those of you who know me pretty well know that when I talk, it's usually loud and animated, but fortunately for you today, short and sweet. So, as you might imagine, finding a middle ground for this speech was a bit of a challenge, so just bear with me if I get a little bit too close to the mic or if I start flailing my arms around. These last few weeks have been quite a struggle for me, trying to find the right words to say, words that weren't too cliche for a graduation speech, and more importantly, words that each of you could relate to. Searching for these words, I drew upon the memories of some of my earliest experiences at Juniata. The first time I bumped into my roommate at summer orientation, the girl I would end up sharing my room and my life with for the next 4 years, the first time I got sick in college, and the first time I dropped my cup in Baker Dining Hall. These simple firsts taught me a lot about life. For example, like how living in a messy room can really threaten my sanity. Thank you, Meredith. And how friends can amazingly turn into moms when you need chicken noodle soup and TLC to nurse you back to health. And that the football team shows no mercy with their loud cheering when they hear a cup fall to the cafeteria floor. Not that these first experiences weren't important, but they were all things that happened to me. They were missing one element, my ability to choose to make them happen. This reminded me of the question, should we let the world happen to us, or should we happen to the world? So, what about the experiences that we all chose to have these past 4 years? Like taking classes that we weren't sure about, or traveling, and opening up to people that are different from us. Why are they so special? These experiences stand out because we know beforehand that we would have to accept the end result, to either reap the benefits or have to deal with the consequences. And they stand out because even though they might have been out of our comfort zone, we chose to go through with them. Good or bad, the outcome of every experience that we chose molded us. We might have lost a little bit of who we thought we were, but we certainly gained more than enough to replace the pieces that we lost with a stronger, revised version of ourselves. So what does this all mean for our future? Well, in about T-minus 2 hours, we're all going to be Juniata College alumni. Pretty scary, huh? I mean, on one hand, we join great company. Among our alumni friends are Chuck Knox, Mr. Von Liebig, and the esteemed hip-hop dancer, Amy Mather. But on the other hand, we have this great challenge ahead of us. We're carrying this torch from Juniata, and we're supposed to show the world that we're the most open-minded, intellectual, cultured student to ever finish college. Because come on, we went to Juniata. And we all know we can't just be run-of-the-mill, mediocre, or average. We have to be uncommon, and we have to show it. Well, friends, we can show it by happening to the world. We can be the people who think outside the box, the people who are courageous enough to try things that we don't know the outcome of, the people who choose to experience life. This challenge we have to happen to the world is going to be tough at times, but you, Juniata College, class of 2006, have something unique that will put you ahead of the game. You treat life like a game of poker, and you gamble, but you do it in a way that's justifiable. I've seen it time and again in how you deal with schoolwork, how you deal with big decisions, and how you deal with authority, such as the captain of the booze cruise this week, who warned you not to throw anything over the edge of the boat. You respond, what about people? And you make a splash. Like I said, a gamble, but forgivable. Now I know that this group of seniors in front of me is the cut and dry type, no need for fluff or big words. So this might be cheesy, out of the ordinary, and at best, unoriginal. But I'm going to end with a quote from one of my favorite TV shows, whose main character just happens to finish each episode with a mouthful of words to chew on. And that's what I want you to do. Chew on this from Dr. Meredith Gray. Still sometimes we have to see for ourselves. We have to make our own mistakes. We have to learn our own lessons. We have to sweep today's possibility under tomorrow's rug until we can't anymore. Until we finally understand for ourselves what Benjamin Franklin meant. That knowing is better than wondering. That waking is better than sleeping. And that even the biggest failure, even the worst, most intractable error, beats the hell out of never trying. Class of 2006, don't ever let the world happen to you. Happen to it. And never forget, don't stop believing.
Angela. At this time, I'd like to introduce John S. Hilly, Vice President for Advancement and Marketing, to present Barry Hallbritter as a candidate for an honorary degree. A warm award-winning entrepreneur, generous donor, tireless volunteer, Barry Hallbritter made his first brilliant move when he proposed marriage to fellow Juniatian Marlene Robinette in Bigley Library in April of 1965. The partnership begun on this campus has led to a lifetime of success. From their business, Midstate Tool and Supply Incorporated, to Barry's leadership in his church, Morrison Cove Home, and the Kiwanis Club, to his alma mater. Barry's imagination and devoted service have left an enduring legacy of accomplishment. At Juniata, he has contributed in countless ways, including serving as trustee from 1993 to the present, and as chair of the Juniata Campaign for Uncommon Outcomes from 1998 until 2005. Because of his leadership, unbounded enthusiasm, and I can tell you unbounded enthusiasm is his hallmark, and overwhelming generosity, which are clearly displayed on this campus. The Uncommon Outcomes campaign exceeded its original $70 million goal by 47%. Now, some things you would not know about Barry. First, Barry is a devotee of all things musical, and especially of barbershop music, having served as president of the Altoona Horseshoe Chorus. He's an enthusiastic world traveler who enjoys performing on the road with the Juniata Alumni Choir. A bell collector extraordinaire, he is curator of the largest collection, one of the largest collections, I'm not sure it's the largest collection of bells in the world. And as always, his leadership ability has been recognized, having served as president of the Pittsburgh chapter of the American Bell Association. The Hallbritters are well known for their hospitality that they provide to groups at their conference center, Laurel Lodge, on the mountain above their home in Altoona. Typical of his selfless attitude, Barry often serves as volunteer transportation director by chauffeuring the attendees of the famous Blair Bedford Alumni Pig Roast from their cars to the lodge in his very well-appointed golf cart. Barry's dedication to selfless service and ethical leadership has set the standard high for his peers and for those who will follow. He's given generously of his time, and with Marlene also of his wealth, to provide an example to all of how a life blessed by achievement can be a blessing to others. Mr. President, in recognition of his entrepreneurial acumen, his relentless dedication to improving the lives of others, and his tireless efforts on behalf of his alma mater, I present Barry J. Hallbritter for the honorary degree. Barry Hallbritter, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Juniata College, and upon them by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining. I'd like to introduce Chad Herzog, Director of Performing Arts, to present Phil Korn as a candidate for an honorary degree.
Since 1993, Phil Korn has remained steadfast in his efforts to shape the Pennsylvania Council for the Arts to one of the most well-regarded state arts agencies in the nation. Through his extraordinary leadership as executive director, the agency has attained the highest funding in its history. It was named one of the nation's top 50 most creative, forward-thinking, results-driven government programs by Harvard's Innovations in American Government Awards. An outstanding, innovative director who has worked closely with 4 governors, Korn has been instrumental in streamlining the bureaucracy typically associated with granting in the arts. His understanding of the value of partnering resulted in the first statewide partnership of major private foundations in support of the arts. The Pennsylvania Performing Arts on Tour program supports the presentation of Pennsylvania performing artists within the Mid-Atlantic region, North Carolina, and Ohio. Highly respected by presenters and artists for his creative contributions to the touring and presenting of art, his advice is valued far and wide. He was engaged by California presenters to lead their most recent retreat, and by all reports, served them better than anyone else ever had. His sense of humor, his wisdom, his generous spirit to find solutions, his practical knowledge on how to maneuver in a political world, and his leadership have made him a champion among those who interact with him. Without giving up an inch of professionalism, he finds ways to bring fun to his services for the arts community. Indeed, his speech from guacamole to scrapple, describing his move from California to Pennsylvania, will long be remembered in the world of the arts. He understands more than most that a few minutes of lightheartedness can help to relieve stress in a field constantly struggling to do more with less. Mr. President, his outstanding individual leadership, his progressive approach to supporting the arts in Pennsylvania and abroad, and his willingness to implement cutting-edge business practices within his agency, I present Philip Horn for honorary degree.
Phil Horn, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees and upon them by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I now confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Honors, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
Well, this is fun, at least for me. And it is true, I did actually, in my first speech, juggle avocados and turn them into guacamole while I was speaking. That fortunately distracted everyone sufficiently to realize there was no content to my speech, representing yet again another triumph of style over substance. Dr. Keppel, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, especially students, parents, and families, and my new best friend, Barry Albrighter, who gave you and others who will follow you this wonderful theater. Oh, wait a minute, we had to change venue as well. There's supposed to be a theater behind me. This is a great opportunity for me. Theater was as important to me as anything in my life. Barry, you've created opportunities for others to do that, and it is something that has become my personal mission and my job. First of all, congratulations to all of you graduates. You have achieved something that is likely the most important thing you could do to ensure your success. You graduated from college. I'm smiling here for a number of reasons. First, I'm glad to be here for commencement because I never made it to my own commencement. At the time, it didn't really seem too important, and there's something a little bit unreal about graduating from the only university named after a housing development, and that is Cal State Northridge in the San Fernando Valley. It was a commuter college of 22,000 students, and when I thought about what our commencement must have been like, I sort of pictured us all in our cars as if in a drive-in movie. And going up to a drive-up window where the president of the college would hand you your diploma and say, "You want fries with that?" So I suppose my assignment here today is to give you parents and relatives of the graduates some reinforcement of the accomplishment and relief you must feel at this time, and give the graduates some advice and keep everyone awake without embarrassing myself or the college. I'm also smiling because for more than 10 years I studied acting and worked as an actor, first in Los Angeles where I grew up, and later in graduate school at Michigan State. For about 2 years while in LA, some friends, fellow actors, and I played the Marx Brothers in a compilation of their movies. I played Groucho. Their third film was called Horse Feathers, in which Groucho took over as president of a small college. The movie, I can't help thinking about it. The movie opens with the installation of Groucho as the new president of Huxley College. The faculty is all on stage, dressed in caps and gowns. The film begins with the end of what is clearly a very dull speech by the outgoing president of the college. And Groucho's first line is, members of the faculty, faculty members, students of Huxley, and Huxley students. Well, I guess that covers everybody. Yeah, I thought my razor was dull till I heard his speech. Later, he launches into song, bouncing on the laps of the faculty and pulling on their beards. I won't be doing that today. As a recovering actor, it's not good for me to indulge myself again. But it's been impossible for me to think about giving this speech without thinking of that movie and smiling. And I want to share that with you as my first recommendation for a great movie. I also want to talk a bit about the arts and my revelation after many years of management and leadership that everything I needed to know I could have learned studying theater. The longer I do this work, and it is now 25 years, the more impressed I am with the transformational capacity of the arts and the ability of artists to communicate in ways beyond our usual means of discourse. This is one of the reasons why I think the arts are important to society and why it is important to support the arts, particularly in education. I commend Juniata College and my friend Barry for the recent opening of this wonderful theater. You remember the theater. And something that is very dear to my heart. When I think about the work that I have seen in the arts over the years, I'm continually amazed that we have never run out of ideas for stories, plays, movies, paintings, and jokes. Except my jokes, of course. Our compulsion for creativity and for expression of our imagination is surely part of what defines us as humans. This is in our nature. It is a powerful resource that is endlessly self-renewing. As precious as the arts are, I do not believe that the arts are some hothouse orchid that needs meticulous care to thrive, but rather a hardy and nutritious plant that will grow under any circumstances from any crack anywhere. Art is inevitable. Art is about being human, and that is a very good thing indeed. Something that society can benefit from by investing in making the arts more widely available to all of our citizens. I believe that the impulse for creativity and imagination is profoundly human and of great value to our society. So the question then is not whether or not to have the arts, but who will benefit. This is where the combination of public and private support becomes so important. There is in all of us profound potential for imagination and creativity. We share a compulsion or a need to create, to interpret, and to understand that which is meaningful in our lives. And there is much in our lives that is meaningful. Today is a good example. There will not be too many more days like this as far as meaning, the passing of a loved one, the birth of a child, the first real job. Artists create this meaning for us. They invent these events for us. We are able to experience these things and feel them with exactly the same intensity, sometimes more intensity, than the actual event. That is a remarkable gift. When I think about the controversy that's sometimes attendant on public support for the arts, I am always struck by one thought. It's not real. It's all just pretend. The power in the art is what we invest in. It's just words or images on a canvas or gestures or sounds. How we perceive and respond is partly the skill of the artist in making that work compelling. It is equally our willingness to engage with the artist through that work. In theater, that contract with the audience is called the willing suspension of disbelief. Our willingness to engage gives to these symbols their power, and to make this make-believe believable, and to make it powerful. If there's a theme to this speech, it is that everything I needed to know as a manager and leader I could have learned in theater. And I will give you highlights of 10 years of training, 20 or more plays, 50 or more parts, distilled into a few more minutes. I work in a small state agency in an environment that is about knowledge, people, ideas, influence, and persuasion. A lot of this revolves around things called meetings. And driving down the turnpike, which I refer to as my extended driveway, before satellite radio, I was listening, switching channels at every turn and mountain, and they were asking the question of the day, what is the biggest waste of business resources? So I looked at the radio and I said, meetings. And caller after caller came in, wasting time at the cooler, stealing stuff, so on and so forth. And I kept saying, meetings. Finally, somebody called in and gave the right answer. Meetings. For as long as I can remember, I've thought about how to make things make sense, about making things more efficient and effective and more rational. I could never understand why people just kept doing the same thing the same way year after year, failing to examine the data or to examine data in a number of ways. I've always been a compulsive organizer, always picking processes apart to find greater efficiency and effectiveness. I continue to be amazed at the wasted energy and resources because processes remain largely unexamined. And when asked why things are done the way they're done, as you know, the response is often, because that's always the way we've done them, or the more honest answer, I don't know. By not doing things as they'd always been done, the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts was able to cut our overhead in making grants by about 50% and our applicants' efforts by more than 70%. Then we were able to triple the number of our grantees, most of whom had never received support from our agency, mostly because they hadn't asked. And they hadn't asked because we hadn't made ourselves accessible. We acted that way because we thought we were about serving artists, and we are. But because we are a state agency, we are more about serving the people of Pennsylvania by supporting artists. Because we were not providing support throughout the Commonwealth, we were not succeeding in our mission. Understanding and dealing with the human processes is a baffling, frustrating, sometimes funny, and endlessly challenging task. It's something that's been written about extensively and remains the subject of book after book. I had a remarkable and revelatory experience about 20 years ago, which has been the center about how I think about work. I went to a retreat with some colleagues, and we worked with a facilitator who did remarkable things. He was able to extract an extraordinary amount of data from us in a short period of time and enabled us to process the information, consider our options, and move forward. I never experienced anything remotely as effective. I determined that I would learn about this, and not long after, I had a very important meeting with leaders in my field. I checked with him and used this process to resolve an issue. I boldly charged ahead with the process. At one point in the process, I asked someone what she thought. No answer. Then I asked her what she felt, and the floodgates opened. She still talks about that moment and how that made her a success in her field. She found her voice that day. Many years later, she received an award from her colleagues because of her contribution to the field. She became godmother to my youngest son. It was not my intention to do this, but it remains one of those great unanticipated outcomes that can be the result of truly engaging people, their whole self, feelings and all. Later, I called this fellow and asked to tell him how successful I've been, and he told me how brave I was to do this. Brave, I thought. Now, looking back, I never thought it was any big deal, so I went ahead full of confidence. After realizing what I had done with so little training, I realized how unprepared I was for this. But not knowing I was unprepared, I acted prepared. I acted hard. Lesson number 1 from theater. As I began to incorporate these insights, I began to make the connection between this and my work in theater as an actor and as a manager. After years of working and studying, I realized everything I could have learned and should have learned studying acting in theater. The lessons were all there. I just didn't apply them outside the theater. I've talked a little bit about my obsession with making meetings successful. Eventually, I realized that the point was not to have good meetings, but to have no meetings. We have no meetings in our office with the full staff, ever. What would be the point? When I started, I thought it was important. The support and technical staff came to me and begged me to release them, which I did. I met with them separately. Once we were able to establish certain procedures and values, we really no longer needed the meetings. Often, meetings are theater, or just a stage for a person who calls the meeting. I had a boss who used meetings to communicate with 1 or 2 people who were problematic and clueless. He couldn't face them one-on-one, so he confused the rest of us and never reached those who were the target for his message. They walked in clueless, they walked out clueless, and the rest of us confused. They didn't get it,
And they didn't get it in a group as easily as they didn't get it one-on-one. But this was his only tool, like having only a hammer, and using that to try to cut a board. And it doesn't help much if you have a saw but don't know how to use it. One of the reasons I sought to lead this organization was because I was so tired of dealing with others as my leader. Now I'm the one who has to be dealt with. And despite the challenges of leadership, it's worth being the boss, so I don't have to put up with a boss. I mentioned that meetings are the biggest waste of resources. My next lesson is about being on time. Mr. Flack was my first high school drama teacher. One of my fellow students was about 10 minutes late for a rehearsal. In his dressing down of this poor soul, Mr. Flack calculated that he had kept 12 people waiting for 10 minutes. 12 times 10 is 2 hours. He hadn't wasted 10 minutes, he'd wasted 2 hours. Lesson number 2. There is no such thing as on time. You're either early or late. Be early. Lesson number 3. You've heard the saying, perhaps, that there are no small parts, only small actors. This means that actors should commit themselves to the part regardless of the size of the part. They should always do their best. Their character should be the most important to that actor. And the job of the director is to make the actors understand that they're contributing to an overall effort and that a successful play cannot have everyone center stage at the same time. And by the way, there are small parts. I've had them. And they're all small actors. I've worked with plenty of them, some of them quite a bit smaller than the parts they've played. But there are no small parts or small actors in life. An example of this is from a movie I really love and would like to recommend, Shakespeare in Love. In it, the actor playing the nurse in the production of Romeo and Juliet is asked by the barmaid what the play is about. The character starts to explain by saying, well, there's this nurse. I want to recount to you a little recollection of arguably the worst production of Romeo and Juliet ever produced in North America. I was in it. I was woefully miscast as Tybalt, the hot-headed cousin of Juliet, whose hatred for Romeo moves the action forward. Tybalt is evil. But actors are taught that you can never play evil. I've found that I cannot deal successfully with anyone by seeing them as evil or seeing them as the enemy. You can only achieve success if you're able to understand and deal with their own self-interest, and not their actual self-interest, but their self-interest as they see it, which suggests a couple of ideas that have been important. One, we all share the same favorite subject, ourselves. The actor who said that Romeo and Juliet is about a nurse expressed that thought perfectly. However bizarrely our self-interest may manifest itself in our behavior, no one ever gets tired of thinking about themselves. I played this character, Tybalt, who is the cousin of Juliet, who starts the fight that propels its play to its tragic end. For all the trouble he causes, he clearly understands that everything he does is for the best. There is no evil in characters as actors portray them. No character can be acted as evil. Characters, like people, regardless of how horrible their actions, never think of themselves as doing evil. At the very least, they see themselves as justified. Their actions, however horrific they may seem to us, are justified to them because of their circumstances. But nothing really justified this production of Romeo and Juliet. Imagine creating a set for Romeo and Juliet without the means for Romeo to climb the balcony. That's what they did with this one. This was a crazy mix of styles. Imagine Romeo and Juliet with really no one to play Romeo or Juliet. Romeo was played by an actor who was not quite 30, but looked well over 40 by the time he finished the play. A painfully thin and pale Juliet was in sharp contrast to a raven-haired beauty to whom God was very, very kind, nearly bursting out of a bright red low-cut Elizabethan dress, who played Romeo's ex-girlfriend. The audience could not take their eyes off of her. They must have thought, what is Romeo thinking? Later in that same scene, Tybalt is chided by his uncle, Lord Capulet. Now, this poor actor playing Lord Capulet was much too busy in the PhD program and been struggling with his lines and channeled all his frustrations into a slap, missing his mark and hitting me squarely on the ear. The profoundly physical and robust Tybalt nearly went down in round one with one punch. And you know, when cartoon characters get hit and they see the stars spinning around, you really do see stars when somebody hits you that hard. In an early scene of the play, a fight ensues from a confrontation between these two families. One of the actors in this fight wisely fell off the back of the set and disappeared from view. Of course, it made it a little more complicated for the actors who rehearsed a fight scene with him in the play. Nobly, but perhaps wisely, he then climbed back on the stage with a large, embarrassed grin on his face. Now, actors usually like to get laughs, but generally not in a play like Romeo and Juliet. This production was more serious trauma than serious drama. The lesson I learned from this, 11 o'clock always comes. No matter how horrible the present circumstance, you can almost always count on the fact that eventually it will end. A related lesson, no one ever died of embarrassment. Were this not true, there would have had to have been a very large memorial service at Michigan State following the opening night of this production. I do recall that we had a significant wake, but no memorial service. Now, there's no reason in this world why this play should have been done at this time, given the actors and the other resources, and no reasons why the audience should have been subjected to this horrible experience. Just as so many people have been subjected to bad meetings for many of the same reasons. Good actors woefully miscast. Which leads me to the next lesson. Effective planning is not about imagining a better future with what you could do if you had what you wished for. It's about what you really can do with what you really have. I learned a lot of what I needed to know as an actor by acting. I learned the most by working with people who were better than me, by watching them, being inspired by them, copying them, and integrating their lessons into my own work. This important lesson is to surround yourself with quality and diversity. Our friends are our friends because they are similar to us. We like them, and they like us because we are like each other. It's good for feeling comfortable. It's not so good for learning. Seek diversity, seek discomfort, seek challenges. Like giving a commencement speech for the first time. Or, as Anne Elias pointed out, being a Catholic in a non-Catholic college. Because I studied acting in LA, I had available to me many colleagues who knew much more about acting than I did. And once I moved to Michigan State, I became one of those actors who was supposed to know the most, and it became significantly less interesting to me, and I began to lose interest in acting. Which means that you need to love what you do. As an actor, you need to love acting regardless of the part or the play or the other actors or directors, designers, or crew. Because if you don't love it, it will surely not love you back. George Balanchine, the famous choreographer, once said he didn't need dancers who wanted to dance. He needed dancers who had to dance. This is what we should strive for in our work and our lives, a sense of commitment and purpose in our work and in our lives. A few years ago, I was invited back to that same theater department, somewhat unbelievable to me. The acting company was long gone. The department was just a fraction of what it had been. This was ironic to me because as much or more than any art form, theater departments are in the feelings business. Actors act by calling out feelings and engendering feelings in audiences. And feelings are what drive our decisions. Forget the data, at least most of the time. This is something I observed when I first began to examine organizational behavior and studying facilitation. However, this theater department, like most theater departments, sees itself in the business of training actors and producing plays. They do not see themselves as being in the feelings business, just as the railroads thought they were in the train business when they were really in the transportation business. Next lesson, understand the business you're in and who are your clients. These colleagues of mine could not see themselves in the feeling business. But when a theater department, when we realize how important the theater department is to these skills, it may become the most important major on campus. As actors in our own plays called life, we ask ourselves constantly, though unconsciously, when have I seen this situation before, and what does it tell me about what I'm supposed to do now? Data doesn't do it, folks, at least not on its own. It's important to engage the feelings. It's important for leadership to understand this and pay attention. As I studied facilitation, I realized there was a formula for doing this, and it was exactly the same approach as an actor creating a character in a play. Thank you. Actors approach their work in a very specific way. They understand what they have to do, what they have to work with, and start from there, manipulating materials and their skills and imagination to communicate. We all make decisions based on incomplete data without examining the affective or feeling part of the equation. We use inadequate data and apply interpretation too soon, and we're too quick with our decisions. We don't go back to first steps. We rely on one impression, be that first or last. Artists engage the whole work. The way I would learn my lines, was to go to rehearsal and learn my lines as the director was giving me blocking, telling us how to move about the stage, making careful notes, then to review all these notes immediately and correct them and understand them, and never wait till the next day. The lines came quickly because they were supported by a physical experience. When the blocking was right, it was especially easy because the dialogue reinforced the movement, remembering that words spoken are only a part of the experience. I later stumbled into an application of this process because I was employed in the theater department. I had an office in the theater building with a typewriter, and I began to type my notes from my classes because I had the time and means to do that. I found that when I did this, I was able to clarify what I'd heard in class, and I was no longer struggling to understand or decipher my notes. To a great extent, I found I didn't have to study. I probably saved an enormous amount of time studying by typing my notes. And you graduates must be wondering, so why is he telling me this now when I'm graduating? Every time I go to a meeting, I make a map of the room and note who was there, where they sat, and the other physical characteristics. This includes all my little scribbles and everything. By doing this, I've found that I've made it unnecessary, but if I didn't do it, I'd be lost. Establishing the physical and visual memory is a valuable tool for understanding what is really going on. Actors learn that the words of the playwright are just a starting point. It is what the character does, as much or more than what he says, that is important. Lesson: listen less to what people say, listen to what they do. Perhaps that's why we have 2 eyes and 2 ears and only 1 mouth, so we can do twice as much listening and seeing as talking. Feelings are powerful motivators accessed by our senses or recalling a sensory experience. There is a commercial for some product that makes this point, that smell is perhaps the most direct route to feelings. The smell of cologne triggers all these happy memories. And for this reason, advertising is the most expensive part of TV per second. People are still trying to prove that advertising really works. Clearly, this commercial made an impression on me, but did not leave me with the impression they intended, since I cannot remember the product or the name of the product. Words, music, images, colors, smells, these are all powerful connectors to feelings and thoughts and motivation. Remembering the aromas around Thanksgiving dinner, for example. I'm getting a little hungry. Our feelings predispose our thoughts. Pretending works. Doing things we associate with happiness can make you happy. Simply smiling for no particular reason can make you feel happy, or at least happier, and make others smile, or wonder, or both. We know there is something so powerful in the manipulation of these images, smells, and sounds, but advertisers, thankfully, cannot figure out how to consistently put that to use to make you and I jump up and buy things. While nothing succeeds like success, nothing gets you to success better than believing. A seminal textbook on acting is called Acting is Believing. It's a wonderful book for beginning actors and a valuable handbook for civilians. Pretending really works. It often works best because no one is expecting you to be pretending, i.e. when you're not on stage. And I'm not talking about deception, I'm talking about pretending in the most honest and childlike way. We are all called upon to act in many different ways every day. It pays to be good at it. Being good at it requires believing in what you do. Being an honorable and successful leader means understanding people. Playwrights give actors some general information. As an actor, you're required to fill in the rest to make the character real. You do not do that by becoming someone else. That's impossible. But by expressing the real parts of yourself that are present in the character. This is an important lesson that every actor must learn, that we too must learn. You cannot become someone else. You can emphasize or exaggerate certain aspects of yourself and diminish others. Leadership is not about being someone else. It's about being you. Sometimes it's about pretending, but still being truthful. Not only factual, but truthful. And the two are not the same. Life gives you little information, and you have to fill in the rest. You must do this yourself, because you're the only one who can do it. Being effective requires that you understand yourself as actors understand the character. It's all about knowing your filters, knowing what affects you, and why. When you ask yourself, when have I seen this before, and what does this tell me about how I'm supposed to act now? Working in groups is a great experience. It's allowed and given the tools. Groups see the same thing and see them in different ways. Facts are the same, the interpretation is different. And they see different things. They bring facts to the table. Being a strong and successful organization is not about being the same, not about doing the one right thing over and over again. It's about knowing when is it appropriate to do the same thing and when is it appropriate to be different. Bookkeeping, for example, is all about doing things the same way. Accounting, it turns out, is all about interpretation. We have learned that lesson the hard way in the last few years. In fact, as a leader, there is little value in being able to give the same answer over and over again. When I came here, Pennsylvania had the largest rural population in the United States. That hasn't changed. But somebody changed the definition, and it is no longer true. The facts didn't change, but it's now false. Rarely do people come to me with simple problems that can be easily solved. These problems they've already solved, and they probably have something else in mind. However, some complex problems are solved very simply by applying the right frame and technique. I have come to believe that in education, it's not about how smart someone is, but how that person is smart. Our testing should be focused on learning how each student learns, as much as what that student has learned, so that the teacher and the student understand the student's process better and become better students and teachers in the process. People have always made fun of me for putting up the pieces of paper on the wall and moving them around. But I have seen people manipulating these pages and see them understand the relationship of one idea to another because they can literally see these ideas and are able to physically move them about and change their relationship. I realize how powerful and important this is, especially to some people, as I have seen their expression of new understanding and their relief. It is profound. Our success really depends on our ability to better access our capabilities and the capabilities of the people we work with and live with. One of the things the arts can do in their variety is to cross-train your brain. Any curriculum that shortchanges the arts shortchanges every student to some degree, and for some students makes the experience worth less or worthless. As the great 20th century existential philosopher Woody Allen once said, 80% of success is showing up. I know that in my high school drama class, the principal reason most of us showed up was to be in that class. And the best curriculum and most skillful teachers are useless if the students aren't there to be taught. The arts enable all of us to develop our intelligence in a variety of areas. We usually use verbal, linguistics, and mathematical. But kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and visual are just as important, to some essential. These means of expression and perception are often best expressed by one art form or another. If I wanted to teach you the difference between planetary rotation and revolution, I would have you dance. Music enables us to hear fractions. We are called upon daily to make decisions with incomplete information, even conflicting information. We make judgments on these bases. We need to learn to improvise with this information. And what better way to learn to improvise than to improvise? As I said earlier, just being factual or right isn't enough. The actor's job and the leader's job are the same. We're given a new play every day, and our work is about finding a different or usual or compelling way to tell the same truth. You seek to find a different way to tell the same story, of reaching the audience in ways that are surprising or shocking or funny, but still true and still moves the play forward. This is how we should do our work. When we know what needs to be done, our work has only started. How we accomplish our objectives in a way that is distinctly different and compelling is our issue. We give a great deal of importance trying to find the kind of activity that gives you joy and expresses that joy in your work as an actor expresses his joy is one of the requisite skills of being successful. Just because something has become routine for you doesn't mean it isn't anything but brand new and exciting for others. There are a few other lessons I learned. It's noble to trust people, but check your own props. It isn't the guy the prop man who's going to be left on stage cold without the letter or without the gun that doesn't work or the trap door that won't open. It's going to be you. For all the excitement we derive from being insanely committed to excellence and creativity in the arts, there's another lesson I learned. It is, what they can't see from the first row doesn't count. And the corollary to this, everything has an upstage side. I knew a stage carpenter who learned this lesson too well and lamented that all the real things he built for his house seemed to have an upstage side. If it looks okay from the audience, it is okay. What it looks like backstage doesn't matter. And it turns out that even in the arts, sometimes good enough really is good enough. Misplaced perfectionism is incredibly expensive. When the curtain rises, nobody is likely to know that what you present isn't what you intended to present unless you make it clear otherwise. We all have these tools to a greater or lesser extent. Artists have them in greater depth and breadth, partly due to their talent, but also due to practice. They are sufficiently motivated to hone these skills. To the degree that the technique of artists becomes second nature, mastery of the technique, creativity truly becomes liberating. Creativity expressed through expert technique is powerful. We all have the emotional repertoire we need. We need to learn how better to use this asset, and we need to teach this more. I believe that much of this is best taught through the arts. To the degree that we can access these tools, many of which can be taught through the arts, we can be more successful. And we can help our family, friends, colleagues, and fellow citizens be more successful.
I have 4 minutes remaining.
By accepting that no one thinks of themselves as evil, we begin to move ourselves to a higher moral plane and become more practical practitioners of our work and our social interactions. I'd like to leave you today with a few of my favorite just because. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean people aren't really out to get you. Just because there's no such thing as a free lunch doesn't mean you have to pay for it. And just because you can read the handwriting on the wall doesn't mean it was put there for you. And finally, just because somebody plants a speaker in front of you for an hour doesn't mean you have to take his advice. But I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.
Authority vested in me, upon me by the Board of Trustees of Juniata College, and upon them by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I now confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
Okay, I'm recording.
Candidates come forward as I call your names to receive your degrees.
My shot's good.
Muhammad Abdul Jami. Mahmoud Al-Dabour. Zachary Michael Osherman. Brittany Jane Barbera, cum laude. Denise Barrett. Troy Levant Beaver. Nicholas Anthony Bernardo. Lindsay Ray Biddle, cum laude. Amy Lynn Board. Travis Drew Boyd. Benjamin Levi Ragland. Holly Beth Brown. Karen Alexandra Brown, magna cum laude. Timothy Carlton Cole. Kelly Nicole Cummins, cum laude. Marie Adele Custer. Christine Marie Cutting. Nicholas John D'Addario. Craig R. Dickey.
Deerwald. Elizabeth Ann Dodson. Nathaniel D. Drenner, cum laude. Jamie Lynn Dull. Kyle Michael Dunn. Jason W. Everly. Neil Daniel Eicher, cum laude. Anna Margaret Elias, cum laude. Emily Christine Dustin Eller, cum laude. Christopher A. Finelli, magna cum laude. Kevin Scott Parr Facey. Edward Graham Gant. Laura Lynn Gearhart. Haley Marie Goodwin. Zinette Gourmand. Saskia Hausa. Jude Walker Harder, cum laude. Jessica Ann Harchet. James Clinton Hayden, cum laude. Nancy Marie Hayes. Laura Cecile Hebert, magna cum laude. Larissa Lynn Hine. Janet Marie Howe. Colleen Hughes. Rachel Noel Jones. Kevin Patrick Casey. Scott Nicholas Kiefer.
The only thing I'd say you could do is
Kennedy, cum laude.
Some little bit over here. Try to match it with somebody. And we'll plus the transition. You're going to want to have this under the podium.
Stephen E. Never, summa cum laude.
I would just do it now because I'm going to be on. I'm going to get Neil about the entire time for the videos.
Akihiro Kozima.
Yeah, look at looks good.
Suzanne Curdley.
You know, I change it back to this side. I change it back to this side to yeah, well, whenever you switch over to this side, if you want to go back in. Yeah.
Michelle Rose Krug,
Because
cum
you
laude.
would be the I mean, he's not the one shot from over there. Yeah.
Carrie
Just
Ann
just
Lavella.
get the podium under it. Stay like that. I'll let you know if that's going to work.
Wesley Reed Longenbacher. Catherine E. Laus. Jesse Wilson Leonard. Olga Lomanoslova in absentia. Rochelle Marie Luther. Mahia Malainen in absentia. Deanna Marie Masaris. Brenton Jew Mitchell. Adam Matthew Moffa, cum laude. Emily Elizabeth O'Donnell, magna cum laude. Gary P. Ondeco, Jr. Kurdo Jamel Hoffman. Joshua Blake Owens. Ariane Marie Colette Marti. Stephen B. Parsons. Alberta H. Piper. Stephanie Dawn Rainey. Hannah Catherine Roberts. Ryan A. Richards, cum laude. Natalie M. Rizzuto. Brad David Rossman. Robert B. Roth. W. Sampson. Abby Lynn Semmer, cum laude. Heidi L. Shoemaker. Christopher Sullivan Slack. Lauren Amanda Smith. Mark Allen Stolsinski. Scott R. Steffen. Zachary S. Sternberg. Fuad Tuzani. Meredith Elise Troutman. J. Giacomo Travato, magna cum laude. Stephanie Marie Tyler. Damian Spalding Valentine. Frederick T. Wall in absentia. Rachel Lee Walensky. Jenna R. Welsh, cum laude. Ryan L. Wetson. Sarah Ann Morton, magna cum laude. Nicholas Willard in absentia. Ryan Zettel Wilson, cum laude. Leah Johan Yingling, summa cum laude. Rebecca Faith Zayden. Ahmed Javed Zirak. Will the Bachelor of Arts candidates please rise? You are now officially Juniata graduates. You may flip your tassels. degree Bachelor of Science, please stand. Mr. President, I have the honor to present 240 candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Science.
By the authority vested in me by the trustees of Juniata College, and upon them by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I now confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Science, with all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining.
Will the candidates come forward as I call your names to receive your degrees? Miranda Sarah Abrahams. Sarah Jean Aftevich. Megan Lee Allison. John Vincent Ashurst. Marcus C. Babiak. Courtney L. Baker. Elizabeth M. Bartosik. Sarah Elizabeth Bay. Anne Michelle Baines. Stephen Lee Beck. Adam Bergstein, cum laude. Michael Warren Best, magna cum laude. Adam S. Black. Tiffany Dawn Blue. Dwayne Thomas Wooker, cum laude. Robert Walt Bowser. John Gregory Boyer. Eric N. Breidenbaugh. Sherry Lee Brown, cum laude. Carrie Lauren Burkholder. Adam William Butterbaugh. Marie Butterfield. Jeffrey Richard Byer. Shannon Peterson Callahan, magna cum laude. Sarah Jane Campion. Danielle Marie Capriati. Joseph Peter Catanali, Jr. Joseph William Anthony Chura, magna cum laude. Jesse John Cleaver. Zachary J. Cole. Jeremiah A. Cole Kelly. Alex P. Crom. Mark Joseph Tuffet. Jessica Lynn Darrow. Laura Ann Doherty. Angela Pope Davidson, magna cum laude. Deborah May Delaney. Jeffrey K. Detweiler. Brandon Michael Diefenbach. Lindsay Marie DiPaola, magna cum laude. Jennifer M. Doty. Alexis Ruth Dow. Jochen Dressen. Randy Lee Dresser. Megan Lynn Duncan. Carrie Elizabeth Dundor. Daniel P. Eliteri. Gregory Fayock. Paul M. Fleischer. Lauren Emily Forster. Latia Crystal Fox. Justin L. Fritzius. Shane A. Furman. Claire Severin Fultz. Kyle T. Fire. Holly Jean Gabrius. Lindsay Aaron Garvey. Michael C. Gay. Jeffrey Allen Gehring, summa cum laude. Alicia J. Getz. Elizabeth H. Gebrselassie. Athena Marie Gibbon. Katie Diana Blunt, magna cum laude. Walter H. Goodcoop, magna cum laude. Catherine Ann Gomez. Nathan Andrew Gresick. Laura M. Gustafson. Julia Ann Gwynn. Katie Jane Hagerman. Darren Michael Cake. Jennifer D. Ham. Leah Alexander Hamlin. Amy E. Hansen. magna cum laude, and distinction in the biology POE. Julie R. Hatfield. Rebecca Ann Hauser. Ashley Marie Heckman. Daniel G. Heinlein. Candace Marie Hibbard in absentia. Ryan Eugene Highland. Ashley Marie Hinkey. Nicole D. Hertz in absentia. Renee Dawn Haas. Lori A. Hodell. Anthony Nicholas Holly. Matthew Scott Hammond. Chelsea Lynn Hoover. Erin Elizabeth Hausneck, cum laude. Ashley Nicole Hughes. Nathaniel P. Irwin. Curtis Frank Ishler. Rebecca Ann Jankowski. Courtney L. Jones. Megan Lynn Junkin. Justin Edward Cantor. Ashley Taylor Coughlin. Justin D. Kelly. Allison Christine Kilbasa. Thomas William Kimball. Kristen L. Kirk, cum laude. Brad Michael Kissel, summa cum laude. Amory Lane Clifford Koch. Christopher Charles Cochran. Catherine Ann Corvich. Elizabeth Ann Cobalt. Paul Earl Kozik, Second Lieutenant. Renee Kuzar. Rebecca Lynn Leno. Jeremy M. Lambert. Lindsay Marie Lang, magna cum laude. Kelly Ann Laraway, cum laude. Thomas E. Leclerc, in absentia. Travis Ryan Lee. Joseph Sean Leonard. Abigail Jo Leonard. Suzanne Madeline Lerner. Deanne Patricia Lymaster. Harry L. Leitner II. Arthur James Lindsay. Laura Elizabeth Little, in absentia. Elena Long, cum laude. Adam Michael Gloser. Marcia Ann Loaf, cum laude. Anthony Garrett Macharola. Jennifer Lynn Marshall. Lori Beth Martin, magna cum laude. Naoko Masaki. Jessa Ruth McKillop. Nicole Maria McClellan. Andrew Stauffer McWilliams. Stephanie Ann May, summa cum laude. Gerald Barnes Michelli, cum laude. Andrew Ryan McCanowitz. Sean Eugene Miller. Jonathan Michael Moody. Mark Philip Moser. Saba Boteguinha. James Howard Nelson, summa cum laude. Michelle Lynn Nelson. Thomas William Nelson. Patrick Ryan Nestor. Matthew J. Newman, magna cum laude. Andrea Nicole Moulton, magna cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth O'Brien, cum laude. Jessica Arlene Perry, magna cum laude. Sarah Christine Pierce, distinction in the biology POE. Gregory M. Karate. Meredith Merritt Pink. Jennifer Ashley Piston, cum laude. Danielle Marie Montpellier. Eric Allen Porsche, cum laude. Nathan Andrew Pugh. Richard Wayne William III. Laura Marie Rath, magna cum laude. Kara Ann Rayner. Christine Elizabeth Ryer, magna cum laude. Stefan Rinke. Glenn H. Roth. Sarah Dawn Rue. Debbie Rudolph. Matthew Lincoln Russell. William James Russell, magna cum laude. Scott E. Sikowski. Rose Mary Santangelo. Brad T. Sattler. Vicki Christine Shelburne. Michelle Schoonmaker. Nicholas F. Sepchak, summa cum laude. James Marlon Surfass, Jr. Michael Ryan Shaner. Don't make me come up there. Christopher Ryan Schaefer. Matthew Francis Sheely in absentia. James Sheriff. Jason John Shiring. Melanie Ann Shoemaker. Reed Alborn Sigley. Michael A. Silver. Heather L. Sholand. Beth Smith. Sarah Lynn Smith. Aaron J. Snare. Heather Lee Snare. Leslie K. Snowby. Lindsay Sue Snyder, cum laude. Christy Lynn Spackman. Matthew T. Springer. Courtney Allison Sprott. Bethany M. Stark. Emily Elizabeth Steelman. Chase Michael Steffen. Emily Suzanne Steinke, magna cum laude. Maxwell Shane Stem, summa cum laude. Daryl William Stivers. Elizabeth Appleby Steiner. Karen Marie Stringer, cum laude, and distinction in the biology POE. Jason Carl Stroll. Angeli Susi. Christine Teresa Kalida. Hannah Carol Taylor. Peter Warren Thomas, cum laude. Ryan James Tokarczyk, summa cum laude. Susan Gloria Trainer, cum laude. Aaron Elizabeth Trotter. Ron Tu, magna cum laude. Mary Elizabeth Ullman. Michelle Umholtz. Melissa Beth Urban. Michael Antonio Vela, summa cum laude. Rebecca Ann Beneda, cum laude. Desiree Nicole Wagner. Eric Douglas Waldberg in absentia. John Herbert Walters. Valerie Nicole Walters. Andrea Nicole Way. Jenna Marie Weber. Laura Marie Weber in absentia. Stephanie Jane Weber. Christopher A. Webb. Marcy Lynn White. Justin Robert Wilkins. Melissa Marie Wilkinson. Joseph Benjamin Wilkes. Melissa Lorraine Wilson, cum laude. Court Patrick Danger Witham. Ching Wong Winnie Wong. Kara Ann Yancey Reynolds. Craig Matthew Matthew Young. Sarah Ann Zentmeyer. Amber Nicole Ziegler, cum laude. Elise Ann Zimmerman. Nicole C. Zinola. Caitlin McEwen Zlatos, magna cum laude. Cody D. Song. Will the Bachelor of Science candidates please rise? You are now officially Juniata graduates. You may flip your tassels.
Thank you, Provost Laxo. You got the weather right again this year. Basically. Also, I want to thank David Lukowski for baccalaureate, Joanne Crew for all the work that she did on commencement, and of course the facilities and food services staff for their good work. The faculty reception for graduates and their guests will be held in the intramural gym of Kennedy following the recessional. At this time, I'd like to ask Zachary Coble, class of 2006, to lead us in singing the alma mater. Please remain in your seats until the graduates have recessed.
There's a wonderful song that goes in part like this. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. There's a dawn in every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future, but it holds a mystery, unrevealed until it's seasoned, something God alone can see. May this be just the beginning of a new season, a in each of our lives. May you receive a song in your heart that needs to be sung. And may the richness of our days together at Juniata allow your future to burst into flower. And may the love of God strengthen and make you ready for the journey to come. Amen.